building off the notion of secret, I think her desire to suffer was also secret. She didn't go around advertising that. She didn't have a T-shirt that said "I love suffering," you know. So on page 45 of our book, she's talking about these words came to me after communion the next day, inflaming my soul with a desire for suffering, and I was convinced that there was many a cross in store for me. Then my soul was filled with such a flood of consolation as I had never had in all my life. Suffering began to attract me. I found charms in it, which captivated me without yet fully understanding it. And then she quotes a line from The Imitation of Christ, another Tan book. Quote, "O Jesus, unspeakable sweetness, turn earthly consolations into bitterness for me." And then she says, "These words came to my lips without any effort." Later on the same page, she talks about the martyrdom of her soul. So talk to us about, any normal person on planet Earth would have a real hard time understanding why one would want to suffer. In fact, I often think about people who first encountered the words of Christ, where he was turning upside down the whole notion of loving your neighbor and suffering and carrying your cross and he was turning all this stuff upside down because it had just been all about self-preservation up until then. Yeah. But how are we supposed to understand her desire to suffer? Why would somebody want to suffer?
Well, suffering is the currency of God. This is how we prove that we love God, we love his plan for us, is by suffering. Because Jesus Christ did the same thing. And a lot of people don't know the profound suffering that Saint Therese of Lisieux went through. Her autobiography, I've read it a couple times. She does go through a lot of it, the suffering, but in her biographies, like the one that Tan has been publishing, The Whole World Will Love Me, that book, I've been talking to your content manager to get that book republished. But there, it talks about her devotion to the Holy Face, because we got to remember, she loved the child Jesus, but that was the beginning of her spiritual life. But then as she went towards the latter time of her life, she went into the higher levels of the spiritual life, and God requires suffering for souls that are generous to go through that level. And she died of tuberculosis. And one thing in her story that I love so much is she woke up one morning, while she was in the middle of sleep. She woke up and she tasted what tasted like blood, and she thought this could be tuberculosis, and she was ecstatic. What would I do? What would you do if we knew that we might be dying in a couple years at the age of 20? Yeah. So she responded with generosity because she knew that she was going to go to heaven sooner than later.
Let me read you that passage because I had it flagged.
Okay.
I had it flagged. I mean, I probably had 12 passages flagged, but this is one of them because it's quite remarkable. It really struck me too. So I'm noticing a lot of the same things strike you and I the same way. I had scarcely laid my head upon the pillow when I felt a burning stream rise to my lips. I went over, skipping a few lines, I went over to the window, I guess to look at the light, to get some light. And it was good news. Our handkerchief, hers and Jesus's, I suspect, was drenched in blood. I was filled with hope, convinced that my beloved, on the anniversary of his death, had let me hear his first call, a far-off, lovely murmur heralding his approach. I mean, so she calls it, she's like, hooray. It's like a kid opening a present on Christmas Day. Yay, my handkerchief is filled with blood. Yeah. I mean, that's somebody who wants to die. They're ready to die. Yeah. And look at like, there's an obsession in today's world with longevity. Yeah. People are spending fortunes to live longer. And not that I'm against those technologies, it's interesting to, help preserve life. We all maybe need more time to convert. But man, people are really dedicating their fortunes and time to figure out how to live as long as possible. And here, this little girl can't wait to die.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have to take care of our temple, and when it's time, we should be disposed to God's time when he's going to take us. But if anyone wants good health, there's nothing wrong with that. But we need to look at it with, it's called purity of intention. And the way I look at it is this. There's a lot of merit that you and I can have by living for Christ in our time. I mean, we only have one life to live. She did it in a short amount of time. So there was a concentrated generosity in her, but we might need more time. But there's more merit that is to be had for taking care of our body and not sitting on the couch just watching television, eating potato chips, and dying 10 years earlier than when God wants us to. Yeah. Those extra 10 years, that effort, anyways, that's what I think is people, as long as they're seeing it for the purity of intention and how can I serve God's kingdom while I'm here? Yeah. Take care of yourselves, people. Yeah, I got to do that because I almost died from an illness 5 years ago. So I'm under obedience from my bishop basically to get my health back. So there's something to be said about taking care of our temple, but it goes to the extreme. I'm not going to spend my fortune on it. I'm not going to pour over so much time and not do any spiritual reading or prayers. So it has to be in the right order.
Hey, thanks guys for checking out the Conor Gallagher Show. Please take a moment to like, subscribe, or comment, or whatever you got to do to support it. And I appreciate that very much.